Hi, it's Hotkey and welcome to this screencast and looking how to convert patches to point hotspots. Right, well, first question is, why would you want to do that? Well, it's to give you a special effects in your panoramas such as this. If I click on the doors open. If I click them, they close. We could also have effects like, I don't know, if you had a plate on a table, you could click the plate and change which type of food's sitting on the plate. So you can create some, special effects inside your panoramas. And of course, being a point hotspot, what we could have done is on mouse over, the doors open, and on click, then go to the panorama inside the summer house here. Or if you've got a image pop up, hover over, doors open, click, and then you get a pop-up image of what it looks like inside the summer house. So you've got lots and lots of options you can do once you've converted a patch to a point hotspot, and you can create this effect. Okay, so with that said, let's start off. So I'm going to open up Pano 2 VR. This is 6.1 beta 3. I'm going to close the welcome screen, and what I'm going to do is just grab the panos. Now I've got two panos. One I shot with all the doors closed. There we go. And the other one I shot with all the doors open. And the one with all the doors open is going to be my donor panorama. So I'm going to extract all the patch images with the doors open and we'll put them in the other one. So first thing then is going to be save the project to the project folder like that. I'm going to zoom in a bit so it makes it a little bit clearer to see. And I'm going to change the viewer mode to patch viewer mode. Double click and add a patch. Now what I'm after is the patch image to be just a little bit wider than the image I want to extract, so I've got a bit of a border. And if I do that, you can see I'm not quite got enough for the top and bottom, but that's not a problem. I can change the aspect ratio of the patch and give me that extra space at the top and bottom. When I've done that, I now want to extract this image. Now I want to make sure that I'm using a web-friendly file type. So I'm going to select ping. And if you want to default that, you can right button click and set as default. There we go. So now all patches extracted will be PNG files. So with that said, I'm just going to click extract, and there is the extracted patch. Now when you click extract, depending on your settings, Pano 2 VR will open the application that you've got assigned to open with that file type. For me it's Photoshop. For you it could be a different type of editor. So I'm going to close that. Whiz round to the other door that I want to open and close, double click, add the patch, set the size as we did before, so the width, get it in the center, and then change the aspect ratio to have a little bit of a border. Okay, I don't think I've got quite enough at the bottom, have I? Yes, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to extract that, and you can see there's that patch image there. Okay, right, so with that done, what I'm going to do is select list view, and you can see in the list view the two patches for this particular panorama. I'm going to use the shift key and select both of the patches, right button click and select copy. I'm now going to select the panorama with the closed doors. There we go, so let's just do that. And I'm going to right button click and select paste. And you'll see now that the images of the doors open get pasted into or over the top of the panorama with the doors closed. I'm going to select the open pano, right button click and remove from tour. I don't need it. Okay, I've extracted my patches and I'm happy. Right, so what I want to do now then is convert the patches to a point hotspot to give me a little bit more interactivity. So I'm going to select the patch, and when I do that, the properties panel changes from the panorama properties to the patch properties. And at the bottom you can see I can convert the patch to either a point hotspot, an image or a video. I'm going to select point hotspot. It's going to ask me, are you sure? Yes. And you'll see here that the point hotspot is the patch is now changed to a point hotspot. Now here's a little trick. If you want to get to the other patch, you can either whiz the panel around in the viewer, or just double click and it will show you that patch. And I'll do the same thing, convert to point hotspot, are you sure? Yes, and that gets converted as well. Alright, now what we're going to see here is we've got this residual image of the patch. So I'm going to right button click and reload the image. When we do that, we get rid of the patch images and we're now back to point hotspots and the original image with the closed doors. If I select the point hotspot, we'll see the image associated with it. And if I deselect it, you'll see it disappear. So that's basically the effect that I want to achieve, but on the output. So let's go to output and select an HTML5 and just publish this. So what we should see is our panorama with the hotspot images over the top. There we go. Okay. Right, so I want to make these interactive. Now the things I also want to do is when we hover over, I want the mouse to change to a hand cursor to show the viewer there's something to click, there's interactivity. And we also want to blend this as well. If you can see, the actual pano with the doors open had a shadow that faded out. Because I've extracted the patch, the shadow is now quite a sharp line. So I need to blend this in as well. Okay, so they're the tasks. So the first task then is to get the interactivity to work. So let's just close Safari and open the skin editor. I'm going to select hotspot template. Because we've turned them into point hotspots, I'm going to add a hotspot template. Now the hotspot template has this new button, add custom image element. So if I select that, it adds an external image loader, this thing, as a child of it. And this is going to be the element that's physically showing the point hotspot image. Alright. So what we need to do is hide it. Now there's several ways of doing this. The first way is I'm going to show you where we mouse enter and leave and we want to hide and show it. So I'm going to use an alpha logic block. So I'm going to set the alpha to 0.01. Now the reason for this, if I was just to set the alpha to 0, not only is it hidden, but it's not active. So if I hover over it, nothing's going to happen. I can't give it any actions. I can't do anything. It's physically not there. But with an alpha of 0.01, I still can't see it, but it's an active element. So I've got something to hover over and something to click. So I'm going to add a logic block, and the logic block is going to be mouse over. When that equals true, set the alpha back to 1 so it's visible. And then I'm going to give it a transition because I don't want it to instantly just show. I want it to fade in. So I'm going to give it a fade time of ½ second. Alright, so click OK, close, save. Save the skin, so I'm going to save it to the project. So let's just call it skin. And if I publish now, what'll happen is we get this hovering effect, alright, on both the doors. Okay, still don't have my hand cursor. I can correct that by going back to the skin, selecting the image loader, external image loader, and selecting hand cursor. Alright, close, save, publish, and we've now got the hand cursor showing. Alright, so that's that done. Now, because it's a point hotspot, I could give it the actions of open next panorama. So when I open the door, I can click this and then go to a panorama inside. Or as I said before, I could have chosen a pop-up image. So when I clicked that, I could have seen a pop-up image of inside as well. Okay, so I did say about blending. So the way that you blend is we go back to the project file and go back to our patch. Here it is. So this is the one we extracted for those doors. If I double click, I'm going to open up in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is zoom in. Too much, there we go. And I'm going to add an image mask. Alright, so add layer mask, sorry. Alright. Select the brush tool. I've set the size and given it some feathering. And I'm just now going to quickly, obviously you'd do a lot better job than me, just draw around and delete the parts of the patch that I don't want you to see in the panorama, and that includes this shadow bit. So I'm just going to do that. Here we go. Now as a tip, if you option click on the map, alt click on the PC, you can see the mask area, which makes it easier for making that look a little bit better, getting rid of the edges. I could have also used the bucket tool to delete quite a large section at a time. There we go. So let's just, a little bit there. Right, so let's option stroke alt click to get that back. And when I close and save, you'll see that the patch now has got the transparency. What I want to do, I'm just going to close Safari, because obviously with caches and things like that. So I'm going to republish, and when it opens, you'll see that we've now feathered out that area, and that looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. Here we go. Okay, so that's just a mouse enter and leave. If you wanted to have it that when you clicked on a door it opens and stays open, what we can do, if we go back to the skin, I'm going to go to the alpha logic block and I'm going to remove that. I'm going to delete that. All right. Okay. And then what I'm going to do now is just give it an action. And the action is just going to be simple. So it's mouse click on the alpha. I'm going to toggle the element alpha. It's set at, as I say, 0.01, so we're going to toggle it from there to alpha 1. Transition time of ½ second, and the element we're toggling is itself. So click OK, close, save, publish, and we will end up now with, when we mouse enter, we see the hand cursor. When we click the door, it opens, and I can close it on click. There we go. And these are now independent of each other. So we can click and close each door. Now what we can do as one other little trick is that we can add a logic block, because a logic block is a global event, and I can add a button that says like open all, so it opens and closes all doors. So the way we do that is quickly go back to the skin. I'm going to add a text box as my button. I'm just going to call it open all. So that's the text on the button. I'm going to leave it as text 1, and how we're going to do this is we're going to add a logic block, a variable. There we go, and the variable is going to be, I don't know, you can call it whatever you like, but I'm going to call it vis underscore image. All right, I'm going to give it a true false, so a toggling, and a false. So it starts at false is its default value. So we've got a true false logic block. So I'm going to go back to the image loader, and we're going to set this, so the trigger is going to be a variable vis image. When that equals true, set that to alpha 1. I'm going to enable the transition, and the transition time is going to be 0.5, so over ½ second. Click OK, and now we're going to publish. And what we should get now, he says, is nothing. Reason being, because I forgot to give the button the action. So the action for the button is mouse click, set variable value. Because it's the only variable in the skin, vis image, it's listed. If I had others, I could have chosen this one from the list. The operation, I don't want it equals true, because that's just a one-time event then. I want to toggle it, and in the logic block, the toggle is the not, and that is if it's not false, make it false. If it's not true, make it true. So it's a toggle affair. So I'm going to click OK, close, save, publish. And what we should have now is, let's just zoom out so we can see both doors. I can use the action to open and close both doors, or we can now use the variable to open and close all doors. There you go. That's how to convert a patch to a point hotspot. And as always, thanks for watching.